The expanded university, imaginative and boundless.
Under the leadership of Kathy Kennedy, now going into the future Lucasfilm, we have many of the top men and women in their field.
Like, it's the only really word we have more of the female-centric stories.
And we're right on the verge of releasing The Last Jedi.
Right, The Last
Jedi. That is something we're incredibly excited about. And I think fans are getting excited. I'm a little worried about film. I'm a little worried about film. All of these things are merging these platforms in a way that I just think it's not disruptive. It's exciting. What we can do with series and limited series and short-form television. I don't think it's sustainable, what's going on right now. A lot of what's being made isn't very good. I think that that's just a byproduct of quantity over quality. The audience will determine that, which is great and democratic. There's always going to be people, when you make something that's somewhat controversial, that are just flat out not going to like what you're doing. And we didn't make the movie for that, which is great and democratic. We didn't make the movie for that.
The Old Republic's interesting because it's our one line of legend storytelling that we're continuing going forward because, it's an existing product that's out in the marketplace that is built on being a continuous story. We weren't about to tell all of the Old Republic subscribers that, sorry, your game is over. That's not how it worked. They're invested, paid subscribers to a system that already works.
Some of the material said, the next canon part of it. Okay. Having worked with George, I can tell you that it was always very clear, and he made it very clear, that the films and the TV shows are the only thing that he considered canon.
We have a large group of ideas and characters and books and all kinds of things. We could go on making Star Wars for the next 100 years.
We don't have source material. We don't have 800-page books that we're adapting. We don't even really have comic books that give us a great deal. This is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be.
And obviously we have hundreds of books and comics.
We don't have source material.
We have hundreds of books and comics.
Okay.
And we help them find the story that they want to tell, but also make sure that story fits within the framework of Star Wars.
Okay.
Fits within the framework of Star Wars. Fits.
With the Star Wars saga, we've tried to create more female characters who represent so many things, because what we're trying to do isn't just create one type of character. We're trying to create a diverse range of characters, especially female characters that are strong, that are independent.
Gina Carano is no longer employed by Lucasfilm. Gina Carano is no longer going to appear on The Mandalorian.
Oh, wow, really? So you mean you shouldn't have judged this until you saw it? That's interesting.
Especially you see it today. Criticism like that sometimes comes before people have even seen something.
Stop giving money to Disney Lucasfilm. There it is.
Love it.
Good evening, everyone. Did you like that?
Loved it. Loved it. Every minute of it's great stuff.
I could have made that thing 10 minutes long because I found so many other clips and I could have told a longer story. Maybe I'll do that and upload it as a video like next year or something. But that probably took me about 4 total hours working in little 30-minute increments here and there. Just something I came up with. But anyway, good evening, everyone. And how are you doing, Matt?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for having me on, Tim.
Oh yeah, I came up with this idea, I don't know, what, about a month ago, because I had seen this in my
Yep.
movie drawer of Star Wars stuff, and I'm like, man, that would be a great conversation, because you know what this is? This is expanded universe right here. This is C canon expanded universe, and I know that you're an
Well,
Ewok
actually,
fan.
since Filoni said he only
T canon,
considered
right?
television,
Yeah.
and those are television movies.
There you go.
So those must be because why would Filoni lie?
Yeah, he doesn't have any reason to lie, right?
Even though we've never heard it from George's mouth, we're supposed to believe. We've heard interviews where George tells us he never uses the word canon. Yet Filoni wants to make up his own thing. Trust me, because I've spoken to George before. You don't speak for George. It pisses me off every time I see that dude.
Yeah, and then you know what pisses me off?
This isn't casual rage.
Yeah, no kidding. It pisses me off. He is what he is, but it's the people that are going around even today saying, John and Dave, they're the right thing for Star Wars. That's what pisses me off, that people believe in him. And trust me, guys, these are not the ones that you want running Star Wars. And there's Ryan already giving you the business about the Ewoks.
These are, yeah, you know what? That dude hates everyone. He hates Muppets. He hates.
Yeah, he does hate Muppets and Sesame Street.
He's been attacking Muppets lately. he's been on everyone's case. I'm telling you, he's just angry about something.
Yeah, he has a lot to be angry about. But let's see who we have in the chat. Up first is our good friend Jeff from the Geek Blend for $10. Super sticker is of the superhero pear guy flying in the air. So thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. We've got Leaf Larson, 13 member in the house. What's going on, Leaf? Ghostbusters Luke saying, all right, got in here before the bell rang. Sub Professors Tim and Matt. Speaking of bell ringing, I've been enjoying you and which guy is it that you talk with Dark Side of the Ring about? Is that
Wes? Wes is great.
Wes, that's right. You guys, it's just so interesting to listen to, because you're like a quasi normie when it comes to wrestling, right?
I don't keep up with the new, and I only have a specific area of knowledge.
Well, he is obviously very well versed in wrestling, because it sounds like he knows just as much as I do, maybe more, because I've been into this stuff since like 86.
He knows new wrestling, yeah.
Yes, he knows a lot. He knows a lot of the history and the terminology and all that type of stuff. So really interesting to get your guys' takes off that. And I encourage you, when you were talking about the North Korea one, go watch my last Ring into Focus. Me and the guys were talking about wrestling in dangerous places. Check out the time that Andre the Giant wrestled in Iraq. That's an amazing story as well.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like a North Korea type story. Alora's in the house. Just got out of work. Time to listen on my drive home. Awesome. Thanks for doing so, ma'am. Brobafett is in the house. What's up, all? Not having this stream last Friday. Yeah, it was my son was still here. He flew out the next morning. So I kind of took a break to spend time with him. So I'm back. Misa back. We've got Melissa Lord, the first ever member in the house. FuchNorris is here with his good vibes. What's going on, Fuck? Small Time Republic is in the house. Is that your new name? This is Small Time, right? It's got to be Small Time. That used to have the droid's character avatar. I can't think of the name of that character.
He always has great stuff.
Yeah. I see him in your chat a lot. Becky Brownwind is here. What's going on, Becky? There's Ryan again. FuchNorris, I said. Raging Rhino's here, giving us a big LOL. What's going on, Rhino? Salty Texas C is in the house. Yeah, hate sells, apparently, is what Ryan's saying. So
he's true. Hey, keep going, Ryan. You know I'm loving
whatever
you.
sells, brah.
He does great.
You got to do what you got to do. Mm-hmm.
Hey, when other channels have nothing better to do but report on what Ryan's saying and hating Ryan, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I love it how they wouldn't have any content. If Ryan stopped making videos, they'd not have any content to make.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Yep.
when you know you're doing great.
Exactly. No, I didn't see that interview, Alora. I think I saw you guys making a tweet about it, but I didn't have time to really drill into it. I'll have to do that in the morning over my coffee. Speaking of which, before we continue on the who's in the chat here, tomorrow morning I'm excited because I've been texting a buddy of mine here, and for the company we work for, he sells stuff and I buy stuff, like totally opposite side of the business, but we used to work in IT together. But I'm going to his house and I'm going to pick up a cherry with the box, not mint in the box, but he still has the box like perfectly flat and all that stuff. A 1983 TIE Interceptor. And we were haggling over the price in text just before we started the stream. That's one of the reasons I was a little bit late sending you the link. So that's where I got my Millennium Falcon and shit. What else did I buy from him? Airspeeder or Snowspeeder, whatever, and something else. He is one of those kids that were those like dorks that wouldn't even touch their toys. Like, oh no, you'll break it. You'll break it. But it paid off because his Y-Wing, he could sell that Y-Wing for $500 with the box, because you know how the nacelles, like the strips would come off. They're lost almost universally. He has the whole thing complete. It goes on eBay auction for $450 to $500 with the box.
And I would say starting from the late 90s, that's not rare anymore. People keep things pristine now. But anything early 90s, mid 90s to in the 80s like that, that's incredible that someone had the foresight to keep it in. I know a few people who've done that as well. But I mean, we were kids. Yeah. Toys weren't going to be an investment.
I played with them, man.
You played with them, and I didn't regret it. So yeah, but to see someone take care of something like that is awesome.
That's awesome. And he has other stuff that I can afford it, but I'm just too frugal. He's got a complete AT-AT with the box. He could probably get $800 for that easily. I still have my AT-AT that my mother got me whenever it came out for getting like straight A's, and I think it was like second grade or something, but I don't have the box. And I'm missing a few pieces, not a lot of it, but he's got the full thing. The chin guns work, you know, the electronics on it, all that stuff. He could get $800 for it. I'm not gonna buy that because I already have one. I can just buy the pieces I need and stuff. But he's got some other stuff. Droid Factory, that Y-Wing. I'm not even gonna try to get that because he can get a lot of money. But I get my TIE Interceptor in the morning. I'm gonna be happy about that.
That's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah, Philbo Baggins in the house. What's going on, Philbo? Greg is in the house. We needed to see those flamethrower troopers in ROTJ. Oh, you mean because of the Ewok village? You wanted to see it up in flames. He's trying to troll you, is what he's doing. Aaron Baker in the house. What's going on, Aaron? I know this guy right here likes to talk about like Doctor Who and Blake 7 and all that old school British science fiction. What's going on, Aaron? Dan Blackroyd, aka Blake St. Clair, Liquid Blake. Kathleen Kennedy loves Rhino. Loves you, Rhino.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Did we ever find out who that mystery girl was from Casual Rage?
Which one? Oh, no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Man up and go after.
No, but that story was, gosh, I need to go back and watch that because I laughed so hard. It was great.
Well,
I need to go back and watch it. What a story. What a move, you know, like, what did he say again? Like, can I buy you a coffee sometime? Oh, so smooth right now. So smooth. You need to come over here and try that line on someone and you'll probably get an elbow in the stomach. Yeah, and Greg doesn't like C-3PO. I think like after Attack of the Clones, it's hard to really see the character the same way because I couldn't stand him in that movie.
Yeah, it was a little campy.
That's cool, Becky. I spent winter weekends at my grandma's playing Ewoks versus Tusken Raiders with the Ewok Village. I always wanted the Ewok Village. My cousin had it, and I never got it. And didn't they base it like on, or didn't they use it to make like Robin Hood toys or something like that?
No, the Ewok village got repurposed as Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It's their hangout. It's the same, just colored differently.
There's a battle wagon too, right? That
and
they
you know
used.
what? Is the battle wagon also part of it? Maybe
I think so.
But I remember I had a chance to buy it all the Ewok stuff. This guy had some, and I said, "Let me think about it." Small time. This was at that flea market where you're from, and there's a toy man there. And I came back, decided to get it, but he had sold it to someone else.
Damn.
My bad for waiting on it.
I did. You know what was amazing? I went to my attic here at this house, not at the house we were living in before this, before or after we got married, but I went up to the attic about 2 years ago and I looked in this 1990s Millennium Falcon box I had, see what was in it because there was something in it. And I had forgotten that like in 2001, I bought a complete Death Star playset. And I guess I put it in that Millennium Falcon box. So I have the whole like 1979, whatever it was, Death Star playset. And it was my favorite toy when I was a kid.
That's all.
Because it was just a great playset. My mother threw it away because it was missing a couple pieces, you know. No. So So as soon as I'm older, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, gosh, I can get this for $80 on eBay. I went ahead and got it, had it set up. Then I moved like 3 times. I guess I wound up sticking it in that box at some point. But it was like finding treasure. Like, yes, I knew I had lost this and stuff. So,
yeah, the most horrifying thing I saw back in the 80s, my friend had a Millennium Falcon, and he always tore up his toys. And so he goes, "Look, I got a Millennium Falcon." We're like, "Wow, that's awesome." Then he goes, "Okay, it's about to go through a meteor shower," and he dropped bricks on top of it and smashed it to pieces.
Yeah, I had friends like that too. Those just moron kids.
Well, the kid from Sid from Toy Story is basically who he was. He would tear up every toy he got, and he got tons of toys. But and none of it. I mean, I just kind of laughed. I was like, "What an idiot!" But when he tore up the Millennium Falcon, my heart broke. I remember thinking, "No, I'll give you $1 for it." You know, I was like, "I want that Millennium Falcon."
Yeah. Yeah. Kids like that, man. I had a friend that would put like firecrackers in them and throw them up in the air and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah, just tear things up. All they do, hurt my heart.
So before we jump into this, did you pull any Ewok stuff out to show?
I did. Most of my stuff.
I got something. Let me show mine first, just because I'm sure yours is better.
No, it's not. It's the same stuff. I mean, I'll show. Everyone knows I have Yub Nub. Okay, so just a few Ewok stuff going with some of the newer stuff. You've seen this guy on my channel. This was the Build-A-Bear. I had to get it. It's the only Build-A-Bear I actually made for me because it was an Ewok. I had to get it.
You didn't make Ketch? Come on now.
No, I don't even know who that is.
Remember Ketch, the one that they used in Aaron Alston's X-Wing books?
Wait, like he wasn't in the Build-A-Bear?
No, but you could make them
yeah.
Custom, you know.
This is the backpack bear.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
You put stuff in him. And this is also Build-A-Bear. It's one of those just onesies. And my wife said, "You gotta get this one too." I was like, "Sure." So any Ewok's fine. And then through the move, I found Pocket, my tiny little Ewok. He must have been from a Happy Meal toy or something a long time ago.
Oh, nice.
But I call him Pocket because at the flea market I couldn't find a price on him, and there was no one there. You just got whatever you needed and went up to the counter and they checked the price tag in the lot that you got it from. And so because he didn't have a price, he fell into my pocket by total mistake. And I found him.
Yeah, but you rescued him. You rescued an Ewok.
I rescued an Ewok, Pocket. And I was so upset because I thought he'd gotten lost and thrown away, but I found him in the move. So I was happy above that. And then if we're going to go older.
Let's go older.
I got the old Ewok Banks.
Wow. Those are based on the cartoon, right?
It seems to be, but it seems they're Return of the Jedi ones, even though this obviously is Kanisha here.
Yeah.
But they're Return of the Jedi is what I see on them. Now, one I couldn't find. I have magnets, Return of the Jedi Ewok magnets. I couldn't find them, but I just moved. So I know what boxes they may be in. I didn't have enough time to look it up. But then this one is an old Return of the Jedi necklace.
Nice. I love that old stuff, man. Just random old stuff.
Come on, focus. Hey, there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's sweet.
Really cool. So that's the extent of some of my stuff is boxed up. And of course Yub Nub, which everyone's seen.
Yeah, I'm sure I have some other stuff, but this one I found. So my wife had rented a booth to sell shit, like, at one of those resale shops.
Yeah.
And I would always go in because she'd make me carry this stuff in and all that. And so I would always look around, for Star Wars stuff, quite frankly, maybe Star Trek stuff. I saw this and it was so inexpensive. Not everything was with it, but I had to have it because it's vintage. And just like you said, it has the Return of the Jedi logo on it, but it also has the font and the artwork style of the animated series, and it's a lunchbox.
I have that too. I forgot to get it. I have it too. I have the thermos with too.
I don't have the thermos, but I don't care because I put it on my vintage shelf and it looks awesome.
I have that. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. I want to say I had that one as a kid too.
I never had that one as a kid. It was, I don't know. I never had it as a kid. I had like the metal ones that were Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The one with Luke and Jabba's palace with the blaster pointing at.
I know that one.
I had that one. Yeah.
But I had the Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks on it because I had an Ewok shirt. It was wicked with the 2 droids in the forest. And I wore that on Saturdays. We could pick out our own clothes. And I picked that shirt every Saturday. And I thought I was the coolest of the cool when I had my Ewok wicked shirt on.
The shirt I always wore was almost this color, and you probably can't really tell. It's like a light gray color. And it had 4 biker scouts leaving the bunker like on their speeder bikes. And it had the Return of the Jedi logo down here. I would wear that shirt as often as I could. It's like my mother would tell me, man, you got to wash that shirt before you can wear it again. But I was the same way, like with certain shirts and stuff. You stole an Ewok? That's sick. And then you melted your brother's G.I. Joes? You're a sicko, Greg.
Why would you do that?
Man, dude. Those were awesome toys when they came out. I kind of shifted almost to G.I. Joe because they had some cool toys.
I don't know why, but we never got into G.I. Joe. I don't know why, because that would be right up my alley, but we were into the superhero action figures, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Wars. So maybe that's why we never got G.I. Joe. We had a few, but not that many.
You mean like the secret, what was it called? Secret Wars that had like...
Yep, I had Secret
DC.
Wars, I had the Superpowers.
Superpowers is what I'm thinking of. Like,
yeah,
and then like Superman, you do this with his legs and he'd punch.
Yeah, well, Secret Wars had the hologram shields.
Yep.
We had some of those too, but we had mainly stuff from the Star Wars, Thundercats, Voltron. For some reason, G.I. Joe, we got a few, but they were that and He-Man. We didn't get much He-Man.
I had a lot of He-Man, but I didn't like it. Like I had Castle Grayskull and some other stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know, this is kind of lame. Like, I don't think He-Man is a franchise. People think they try to act like it is, and I'm just like, nah.
Ryan's a big fan of the new He-Man cartoon.
Yeah, I didn't notice. Melissa says, I still have the ROTJ Burger King glasses. Wow. I had 3 of the 4, and I think they all got broken, sadly. And my Metal Empire lunchbox. Are you talking about the one that has like Yoda on one side and then something on the other, like Yoda, like with his eyes closed or whatever? Sadly, no thermos. There's only an autograph pic of Harrison Ford in there now. Nice.
Oh.
Did he autograph it himself? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that a few times, like take them apart and make custom ones, and I'm like, why'd I do that? And I put it back the way it was. So, Yeah, that's the one she's talking about. I think it has like a light blue rim around like the hinge and stuff. I remember. I had that one. I think it
Awesome.
got rusted and it got thrown out. But yeah, so the Ewoks. Did you recently rewatch them or anything?
I did watch them early this year with my little girls. They sat
Mhm.
through the whole thing because it's
Nice.
people in teddy bear costumes and they loved it. So I am prepared, more than prepared, to talk about these.
Well, there's so much interesting stuff, backstage about these. But here's what the first thing I want to talk about, this
Yeah,
amazing poster art on both of the
it's
movies.
lovely.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
And
Go
yeah,
go ahead.
for those who don't know, like both of these were released in Europe theatrically, but not in the United States. So that's probably what these posters here were for. Well, this one says ABC and stuff, but I'll bet you this one was the theatrical poster in
Yeah, I
Europe
think in the
because it was called
UK
Caravan of
they
Courage
got
there.
released.
Yeah, or even in
Right.
France because the French versions had different music. It didn't have Peter Bernstein's soundtrack. They used some, I think it was like a French composer, possibly even
No,
a
I didn't
pop
know that.
singer. Yeah,
Interesting.
kind of weird. Yeah,
Is
kind of
that
weird.
soundtrack available?
The French one,
Yeah.
I I don't know. I'll have to look that up later. But the other one you can get your hands on. It's like 2-in-1 for both movies. Do you have
I
that?
remember when these came out, we were so
Hmm.
excited because ABC was hyping them up. My dad recorded them both on beta and on our beta system, and we would watch them on beta um, all the time as kids. All the time. In fact, we kept our beta system for the longest only to watch those two movies. They were on the
I had
same
them
beta
recorded
set.
off TV.
That's what we did. They were
That's what I
recorded
would
on
watch.
TV.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the beta broke and we didn't watch them for years until that DVD came out. And I was so happy. So
And
happy.
they were also released on Laserdisc as well. I feel like
Oh,
I
were
missed the
they?
boat on Laserdisc. Like I
I
wish
did.
my family had
Everyone
had
did.
one. Yeah.
It was there and gone.
Hmm. Well, they were still
Um,
making Laserdiscs for Star Wars in 2000. They made one for the Phantom Menace, believe it or not.
really, I did not know it lasted
Hmm.
that long.
Yes, it did. It's pretty
Wow.
amazing. I just wish, think of all the stuff you could have seen, like Rocky 4 and all those great 80s movies in Laserdisc. But I think it was expensive, like almost prohibitively expensive in the 1980s. So,
Yeah. It
but
was
yeah,
pretty.
great posters. So
Yeah.
some interesting stuff here. Like the first movie, I'll go back to that one. Do you know who wrote the script? Or at least came up with the story idea and then wrote Ewok cartoon episodes.
No, I do not know.
Guy named Bob Corral. So he started out as George's nanny. And then I don't know how it happened, but maybe, I mean, you've got access to George, right? It's like, George, I got this idea. So he took his story idea for this movie here. And then that guy, Bob Corral, wrote many of the Ewok cartoon episodes as well. So
Wow.
George's nanny. Yep. I thought that was interesting. Um, but this story here, it started out as we want George wanted to do a 30-minute special, and all the networks said no, except ABC. They said, we'll give you time, but we want you to fill 2 hours. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? I guess I'm doing a movie then, right? If I got to
Yeah.
fill 2 hours. So he came up with this idea, and how involved was he? Well, he like personally directed some of the reshoots himself. So he was definitely involved.
Yeah. If you read Eric Walker's autobiography, which I have, it's not very good because he wrote it himself. He needed an editor, but he talks about working with George for the deleted scenes. And I talked to Carl, whatever, who was in the second movie. Can't think of his name.
Who'd he
But I talked
play?
to, say what?
Who'd he play?
He plays Lurch in the 90s Addams Family movies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can't think of his last name right now.
Mr. Hom, right? From TNG.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So he was telling me that during the second movie, George was on the set every morning giving tips, answering questions, saying hello, because all this was filmed at Skywalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was always there lining up shots, helping out. Yeah, Joe Johnson was production design too. Yeah, he was heavily involved. And so it was the same crew basically who worked on the movies. And
Nice.
but George was very involved with that. Had to talk. I think it was it was the second movie. He had to film a lot too because I forgot the Quaker Oats guy, Noah.
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, Wilford Brimley.
R.I.P. Yeah.
He refused to work with the directors after a
Yeah,
while.
I read that. The Wheats.
Yeah, it wasn't happy with him.
So Joe Johnston had to direct.
Joe Johnson had to come in and direct, and George had to come in and kind of talk a little bit, kind of smooth things over. But George was involved day to day, is what I was told from several cast members. And Eric Walker, Mace Tatwani, told me that George was heavily involved in it.
Did you talk to Eric Walker?
Yes, I met him.
Where?
At the Knoxville Comic Con a few years back.
Cool. So I went to his. Go ahead.
No, I have his autograph and got to talk. That's how I bought his autobiography too. But it was really cool. And he says, "Oh no, George was a big fan. He came by all the time. He shot all the reshoots." He said he was super nervous working with George, because every kid loved Star Wars and every kid knew George Lucas made Star Wars.
Hell yeah. I did. Yeah.
He said the first scene he was shaking so bad because he was so nervous. They pulled him aside and said, "Hey," George's like, "Why are you shaking?" He said, just a little nervous, sir." He went, "Don't be nervous. Just do what you do."
Yeah.
But it was George, and I can't blame you. You're an actor. You get this big role, a dream role back then. Star Wars, but now George Lucas is right there with you, directing you. That's awesome. And he didn't take a director's assistant credit because he didn't want it, but he was involved in both of those movies. Yet you don't hear the directors bragging about how good friends they are with George and putting words in George's mouth the whole time.
Right.
I hate Filoni so bad. I'm sorry. That clip just angered me, Tim.
Well, that was the whole point. That was hopefully we change some minds to people that aren't already angry. That's what the point of it is.
Dan got it. Carl Strucken. Thank you.
Okay. But I went to his YouTube channel today, to Eric Walker's, and he doesn't have that many subscribers. And I'm like, man, I feel terrible because, he and another thing on this, he and Warwick Davis were given cameras by George. No, not by George, really by the production staff, and said, "Hey, here's cameras. It would be a good learning experience." So they made their own little documentary that Eric released. I would love to see if we can get him on the channel sometime and have a conversation with him.
Oh, it'd be great to talk to him. It's a little sad because I feel in his autobiography, he talks about him and Warwick being best friends. And in Warwick Davis's autobiography, he basically just talks about himself during these movies and skips over it to the next adventure. Doesn't even mention anybody from it. So that was kind of Warwick Davis's novel was very disappointing. His autobiography was disappointing.
Well, Davis to me has always come off as a little smug and stuff, and
he's very self-centered, and you can tell that in the book.
Yes,
he's very self-centered, and so it's sad. He got full of himself very quickly. He rose to stardom very early because Willow wasn't that far after this.
1988.
Yeah. So he was rolling, and so but if you read his book, you'd think he was the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I'd love to talk to him. Maybe we can find a way to reach out to him or whatever.
I hear the Sindel doesn't do cons anymore. She did a long time ago, but got kind of tired of it. And wants to move on.
There's lots of weirdos that probably approach you and stuff like that when you're I can't even imagine. Here's something interesting. I'm looking at this poster here, and you see the hang gliders. George said, "No, we're really gonna hang glide." So they hired like a stunt performer that knew how to hang glide, and they put him in an Ewok costume, and he actually did hang gliding in the movie. I thought that was awesome that George said, "No, we're really going to do it." But they did a lot of old school effects in this. That's one of the ways that they kept production costs down so low. They did a lot of forced perspectives, no pun intended, with like the Gorax and stuff, kind of like the old King Kong movies. I thought that was interesting.
Using that old school movie magic, which is fine because it's a TV movie.
Yeah, exactly. And George basically told his guys, the ILM guys, "Hey, just go have fun, you know, like make like a monster style movie." And they did a lot of stop motion, like with the blurgs, you know, the big whatever those like dinosaur like things were,
right,
and stuff like that. So, you know, and then they had standard stuff like blaster effects,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But well, let me catch this super chat really quick from Greg. $5. My sources tell me Filoni is redesigning Ewoks to be more wolf-like.
I love that.
It's so weird how that guy, like, it's either a hat or a jacket or a shirt or something that has like wolves on it. That's just bizarre. I don't like anything that much that's all I wear. Like, obviously I like Star Wars, but I'm going to wear a DC shirt or a Marvel shirt or something like that, or a gun manufacturer shirt every now and then. I'm not going to wear Star Wars 24/7.
Exactly.
But Filoni's a weirdo. Thanks, Greg, for the $5.
Well, he thinks that makes him more legit in the fans' mind.
Yeah.
He's a moron.
He is, and a weirdo. But the basic plot of this is, guys, if you've never seen it, that this family crashes on Endor, this human family, right? And the parents get kidnapped by the Gorax. That's the monster you see in the upper left on the poster there. And the kids are taken in by the Ewoks, first kind of as prisoners, and then they let them out. And it's like, hey, we need your help. And they convince them to help them and all this. So they go on a quest to rescue their parents and stuff. And they run into all kinds of interesting creatures and stuff along the way. But here's the question I had for you. With some of the stuff, Matt, that we see on the screen, how do you resolve some of that? Like a lot of the supernatural stuff, like, oh, I have a magic stick that pulls you out from underneath the lake and stuff like that. Do you see that as just, I mean, Endor's not like a magical moon, right? It's not like a force laden moon. So how do you take all that? I guess
Sure.
I'll stop asking the question and let you answer.
I believe the force is strong there. It's a lot of living nature, a lot of living force. The Ewoks, who talk about all the little wind gods, sun gods, flower gods, stuff like that. They're pulling from the force. They call it magic, but it's the force. They don't know any better. It hasn't been the first time we've seen, Sith amulets, Sith rings. Why can't the good guys make, force-laden weapons or items? And the Ewoks have crafted that. They're all from the light side, I believe, but they've all been crafted in one way or the other, because the Ewoks have, obviously they've always been shaman, meaning force users. And why wouldn't they craft things for good? And I think that's a missed opportunity.
That's a great connection there.
Yeah, there's a missed opportunity in the expanded universe where Luke could have gone there to learn about light side crafting, and you could use an example of all those magical items from the Ewoks. Because as a kid, I loved it. As an adult, I was like, oh. But then looking at it from magic means force, and we're looking through it through their eyes, it doesn't bother me at all. Because why wouldn't an Ewok make you saw Loki has that lantern that can help him see things.
Yeah.
Why not make a stick that can break dark magic? Because there's obviously dark magic there too. Morag, she has a gemstone very similar to Hala from Splinter of the Mind's Eye that probably amplifies her force power.
Yeah, like the Kyber crystal. Yeah. Caliber crystal.
The Caliber crystal. And so Morag probably has something very similar to that and that's what her crystal is. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
all this stuff is stuff we've seen in
It's
other
consistent,
expanded
yeah.
universe material, so it fits in great. Now you got to keep the movie in concept, like you would keep a children's book, a Star Wars children's novel in concept. Yes, it's silly at times, but remember who it was written for. Remember who this movie was made for. But there's a lot of things there that, I mean, Tank's, and this one, Tank's staff, you know, that's a crystal. Who says that's not any different from lightsaber crystals?
Yeah.
But hers glows and does special things, mesmerizes people. I just, to me, it made perfect sense as I got to understand the expanded universe better, that everything just kind of fits with these movies, and they're charming. Like I said, I you know, someone who's a hardcore fan, that's not just for kids. I mean, I love it too. It can be for adults, it can be for families. You know, to be honest, to answer Dan's question, hint is for kids, Rhino. But the thing is, though, Rhino just needs to call up his little filly and say, hey, you want to see a furry Ewok? And then play the movie. That's what he should be doing. That's how you get her, Rhino. I'm telling you. Take love advice from me for once.
Yeah.
Go Ewok all the way. The ladies love the Ewok.
Start with Return of the Jedi. Yep.
Rock out.
You don't need to know the rest of the story.
Out. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, Rhino. I love you, brother. But no, this movie, like I said, it held my girls' attention, which movies usually don't. But because they know Ewoks, because they sleep with some of these Ewoks, I had to take some of these from their cribs. But you know, so they love them. They've been having fun. They always take off with the banks and stuff, and they're playing with these. That's what these were. They were piggy banks there, and
right.
You know, so they've watched the movie, and I'd watch it again with them. It's not insufferable like the holiday special. It's actually a pretty decent book that you could talk about a lot of this stuff. I mean, looking at the expanded universe, Sindel Tatwani is mentioned in the Black Fleet Crisis. We hear what happened to her.
Do you know how much I marked out for that when I read it? Because I didn't like that trilogy, but that part saved it for me because I'm like, whoa,
I went
cool.
Nuts. She's mentioned in like the last page of a chapter. Admiral Drayson is going to give her some information. She runs she's a journalist running the what's it called? The life monitor from her, you know, bracelet. Yeah. And so that she's a journalist and everything makes me happy. That she's still around. And that's really, let me think before I say that. I think that is the only direct mention to the movies that we see.
There's one indirect one where Alana is watching them in universe.
Oh, like yeah. A girl stuck on a planet. Yeah. But you could say that Kip Duran flying over Endor to dig through Darth Vader's ashes, he does see a Gorax.
Or he senses them, yeah.
Oh, I thought he saw one. Okay, he senses a Gorax.
I think he senses them, yeah.
Okay, I remember Gorax is mentioned in it. But yeah, I the thing is, though, they shouldn't shy away from these movies. Right. You shouldn't have. They should have embraced them. I would have loved to seen a grown-up Sindel Tatwani and what was going on with her. I'd like to see her. Like I've told my story before. I wrote a fan fiction a long time ago called Return to Endor, where Noah is old and, you know, older. Sindel's older, but Noah's really old. She gets a wedding invitation from Wicket because Wicket's about to marry Kanisha, because we know in the expanded universe that happened. So she gets the wedding invitation. She decides to go back to Endor, and Noah decides to go with her because he wants to visit Teak again.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and what happens is, you know, we have some Dulak invasions and stuff like that. Maybe Morag comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those villains come into the fray of it, and you know, you kind of connect things together. And to be honest, Ewoks versus Vong on the planet Endor would have been cool.
Yeah.
Both.
Well, you said Luke, but what about Jason during his Force expedition, going there to learn, you know,
I'd have loved
the ways that they
connect. I think that would have been really smart. And who's to say Jason didn't? Because obviously he studied. It says he studied with a lot of other Force users. I really wish they would have talked about the shaman of Endor.
Right.
Because they are their own little Force sect. Now that I think about that, my one of my friends on expanduniverse.com wrote about Force using groups and stuff, different groups of Force users, and he didn't mention Ewoks. So I need to see if he wants to do one on that, because the Ewok shaman,
what's interesting.
Logray, but
what's interesting is Return of the Jedi Galaxy Guide from West End Games. I think it came out like in '89, something like that. Might have been '90. It in his profile, in Logray's profile, it talks about how he had been dipping his toe in the dark magic part, but he had moved away from it and stuff.
Well, Logray,
I'd have to go read the whole profile, but that's interesting.
What it was with Logray, he was using the light side, but eventually got into the dark side by the time Return of the Jedi came around, which is why he wanted to eat the humans. He was kind of consumed with the dark side and just for power, and he knew, supposedly, that that Luke and they were threatening his reign. He thinks, even though Chief Chirper was in charge, Logray kind of ruled in a way.
Yes.
And after that happened, Logray was dethroned as shaman. Tebow took over. And because Tebow was his apprentice back in the cartoon series.
Yep, I remember that.
And Logray was kind of either expelled from the village or something, but he was brought down and Tebow rose in his place. And eventually Wicked married Kanisha and became chief of the tribe.
Nice. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens in this movie. I'm trying to remember if anything else interesting backstage on this one. I'm not sure, but
yeah, there's one big infamous goof in this one. Mace's hand that gets injured is the wrong hand you see later on.
Oh, really? I never noticed that.
And that's because they had to reshoot that. Originally, it was a flower, kind of like a space flower. He'd stuck the hand he's getting treated on afterwards was the hand that he stuck in the flower. When they did the whole tree thing, he stuck in the wrong hand.
Yeah,
that was shot by George. And he has a picture of the flower scene. Mace Windu does, and Eric Walker does in his book.
I wish we could see the whole scene. I know there's actual footage out there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, there is deleted footage. He has said that. He said there's uncut stuff they had to reshoot, and he said that they should have come out with a new DVD with commentary. He said he would have loved to have done commentary for the DVDs, that they deserve a real DVD release, with extra material, not just a supplemental 2-in-1 DVD. And I agree with him.
Yeah.
They should have done that, because you want to hear more about this. You could have done a lot with it. But so that was one big goof. What else did he tell me? I mean, everything else, he had a rough time because he was kind of a chubby kid and he had to keep his weight down. So he had to exercise a lot and run on the set because he was constantly worried about his weight. They made him worry about that. And after this was filmed, or while it was being filmed, one of the crew goes, "What's it like to know that you're going to be famous for the next 10 years? Because they thought Star Wars would only last for another decade and then everyone would forget about it. They didn't know that Star Wars was going to be forever.
Right.
But yeah, he was very, and there's a ABC commercial where they're all, for some reason, in a 50s diner, him and Sindel and Wicked, and they're ordering burgers and shakes or whatever. And he goes, "Hey, don't miss our special on the," and I've never seen that ad.
Where does he have that on his channel or something?
No, but he talked about it, where they filmed a 50s stop. They're in a 50s diner for some reason, and they're talking to the camera about check out the new special coming out on ABC.
But it never aired. Is that?
According to him, I think it did air, but I don't remember that, and I can't find that commercial. But I mean, that's kind of weird. But he says that's what it was. The Gorax was scary as all get out. And this one too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It didn't have a warning. The second movie had a warning like, hey,
maybe
parental
too
discretion.
For kids.
Yeah, there's some intense scenes because there definitely was. But check this out. You have
Oh
books that
yeah.
came out as well. You had the Ewoks and the Lost Children.
Yep.
So, and then the second movie you had, or first,
I
also the
got
first, you had a
excited
record one.
because when I saw that book, I thought it was more stories, but it was just the movie rehashed.
Yes.
I remember the books on record. They're great.
Yep. I still have some of like the movie trilogy ones, but I don't think I ever had this, and I definitely don't have it now. So,
And Sindel
there's the
Wani
other
looks
one.
like a cross between my two girls, which is funny.
That's hilarious.
She has Piper.
Yeah, I think I've seen them before.
Face.
I think you've brought them on before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you found the perfect woman so that, you know, when you started producing offspring, they'd look like Sindel. That was the master plan.
That's right. Hey, the soundtrack. I remember getting that.
Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. CD. I still have the CD. Mm-hmm.
Burn that thing, man. I need it.
Oh,
Rip it and burn it.
Great. It's great. I remember buying it when it came out in '97. It was great.
And then you've got, this is the second movie, obviously, with Teak there.
Yep.
So, but yeah, here's his channel, guys. Like, he only has, I think I'm his 400th subscriber. Give Eric Walker, who played Mace, like a sub. He puts out stuff pretty regularly, it looks like. So check him out.
Yeah.
He played the boy in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes music, it looks like, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he does a lot of, he's got a lot of creative things going on.
But yeah, this movie right here, they did a poll, and this one was rated higher. Like, people like this one more than the second one. I thought it was great. I would rewatch the hell out of this one. Like, probably from 87 to 92. I would watch it at least once every 2 months or something, because I recorded it from television.
It's a darker one.
Yes, it is.
And the story goes that George Lucas read Heidi to his kid.
No, he watched Heidi with his kid.
Heidi, excuse me.
Yes, with Amanda. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, Mace and the family were originally going to be alive for an adventure. And Eric Walker.
Good night, Biggles.
Hey. Eric Walker did not get the note until he showed up and found out that his character was getting killed off. And he said he ran to his trailer and cried.
Wow.
Because he didn't want to die. He didn't want his character to die. He had so much fun in the first movie. He had signed on for another movie and he was excited. But then when he found out that he was going to be in one scene at the end, that was hard.
At the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his
very dark. Like, we're gonna kill everyone.
Already dead. You know? She sees this big explosion. She looks, and Mace's light goes out on the monitor. Mace is covered in soot too. It's like big battle going on. The dad dying, the hand falling from the tree. You know, sliding down from the tree.
Yep.
Some dark stuff, and now she's all by herself.
Yeah, just the way that the Sannyasin Marauders look like. They looked scary. They look like mini Goraxes almost.
Yep. And their story is very interesting. The Marauders took over a spaceship, did not know how to pilot it, crash landed on Endor, and just were, kind of too dumb to figure things out. But they were medieval of mind, which is why they built the castle like they do on their home planet. And they just started ruling like this, trying to get their way back up to the stars. The power of the stars.
The power. The power.
The power. Oh, man. Carl Sturckett is so good at that. He's so good as King Terok. And the Dathomir Witch, which, thanks to Kevin Janderson, made that connection. That she is an expelled witch of Dathomir.
Yep.
And she's just trying to make the best she can. And that ring gives her those special powers. Again, we see a caliber crystal-like item that she has that empowers her. Without it, she's nothing. And she probably smuggled that from Dathomir. Or it could be part of Morag. I always thought that it was part of Morag's crystal that gave her power from the cartoon. And so without that crystal, she really doesn't have much power. That just helped amplify her force power. Like... I can't remember his name, but he started with a U. But the kid from the Junior J Knight series, who had all these magic items and swords to make him look like a Jedi, but he really wasn't.
The only thing I remember from Junior was Anakin, Tahiri, and Ikrit.
Yeah, this kid was toward the end, but trying to fake it. As was what's her name from Young Jedi Knights, Galandro's daughter. You know, using spice to heighten her senses.
Andra, was that her name?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But both of them were trying to amplify their weak force ability through
Anja. It was Anja with the J.
by Sith amulets and stuff like that, or not Sith amulets, but in comic books you see that amplifies people's force. Bane talks about it, how those rings and amulets and helmets can help people with weak force, but he doesn't need it. So she obviously needs it to get some type of ability, but that she's fated to be a crow is great too.
Here's what's
King Tarok's death is just it's haunting.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's gory, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's macabre.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just well done for a TV movie. This is a pretty good. Both of these are pretty good movies because that's just wow.
Well, they dialed up the effects for this one, and it's probably the reason they didn't get a third movie because George claims it was too expensive. But George is too expensive. He's like me. I think he's one of the cheapest sons of bitches in the world because I think he was cheap. But I think they could have made a third one in budget.
They could have, but at this point, he was ready to move on. His focus had switched to Indiana Jones, trying to put some more focus on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt that Star Wars was, kind of fade, and it was fading from the public's memory.
Yes.
So making more TV movies wasn't important anymore. Now it's time to push a new product on people.
Yeah.
Is what it was. And so that's what he was transitioning to, was Indiana Jones and stuff.
But back to Chiral, the witch you see on the right here. Here's what's amazing about this movie and the one before it. How they took like the ring and stuff like that and all that stuff. They made, here's the thing. People bitch about, I want like a Star Wars movie or a Star Wars show that doesn't have the Force, right? I just want to have like a show that's set in Star Wars. Well, here it was, guys, and the Force was not understood by the Ewoks, really. It wasn't understood as the Force by the Ewoks. It wasn't understood by Noah, by Sindel, by any of them. So what did it look like to them? It looked like magic, and I think they portrayed that really well. So it was almost like a fantasy story set in the Star Wars universe because we know it's the Force as the viewer because we've seen the other Star Wars movies, right? But these people haven't. And, Noah was a star pilot. But how many people interacted with a Jedi, like on a day-to-day basis and had witnessed the Force? Probably not very many. Thus, you get Han Solo in A New Hope behaving the way he does with Ben, right? So I really like the way that it was a Star Wars. It was a story set in the Star Wars universe that didn't involve like galactic scale politics and stuff like that. That's what I thought was cool about it. And I would have loved to have seen some other stuff like, let's do some other made for TV movies that are not set on Endor. Let's do some other stuff set on Tatooine and stuff like that. So yeah. Trying to think of what else in this one. So yeah, the parents die like right out of the gate and Mace dies. It's like, wow, they're setting this up to be a tragedy almost, And then Wicket and Sindel escape into the woods, whatever. And then they eventually run into Noah. And it's like, whoa, it's Wilford Brimley, in Star Wars. That's so cool. But let me tell you something that's going to amaze you. Because I don't think you're that much younger than I am. I'm going to turn 46 in about 3 months here. 2 months, actually. Man. So at about 4 years, and that's how old Wilford Brimley was in this movie right here.
No way.
Yes, he was 50.
Dang.
When they were filming this, yes. Not when it came out on TV. So
right, when they were filming it though. Wow.
Yeah. That makes you feel
crazy
really
to
old
think
because
about.
I don't feel like I look as old as he looks in this poster.
No, not at all. Wow,
He'd
that's
already been in
crazy.
Cocoon at that point.
It's funny. And The Thing.
And The Thing, yes.
Shoot. Hold on. So when The Thing was made, he was your age.
Yeah, because what was that, 82?
Yeah, this was
Let's
80.
look this up. I think it was 82. I don't like horror movies.
He was a year older than you.
The Thing, 1982. Yeah, he was born in 43. So
Cool.
that's
Wow.
crazy, man. Yeah, anyway, just a little side note there. And then I did some other stuff a few weeks ago on my or a few months ago on my Facebook page, like JR, Jim Ross from WWE and now AEW. When the Attitude Era started, he was my age. He was like 46, almost 46.
JR was?
Yes. That's just crazy to think about. And then Captain Picard. He's not that much older, or he wasn't that much older than I am now when the first season of TNG was filmed. It's like, how? You know? It's so weird to look at stuff like that instead of just, oh, it's been, you know, I'm 45 years old. When you compare yourself to what people were when they started certain TV shows and movies in their careers. But
I'll be honest, it took me years. I mean, it took me a couple of years. Every time I looked at baseball players, I still felt that they were older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm older than everyone in Major League Baseball. And that seems weird.
Yeah, that's another good way of looking at it. Yeah, like sports guys, you know, like how old was Roger Clemens when he retired and stuff like that.
I don't know what I think. I think Nolan Ryan retired at what, 42, 44?
Yeah, something like that.
So he was my age when he retired. And it's just like, what? No,
yeah,
I'm not that old.
He did a lot of his really good work when he was older.
Pitching no-hitters.
Yeah.
3 no-hitters in his 40s or 4 no-hitters. I can't remember. He pitched a lot.
And what year did the fight happen?
Oh, he was 42 by then, taking on Robin Ventura.
Yeah.
Did I have a joke. Robin Ventura is the only one in the history books to get 7 hits off Nolan Ryan in the same game.
I have a meme I made many years ago. It was when what's that Irish guy's name, the boxer that's always in these high profile fights. Someone in the chat will know his name because you probably don't watch boxing, but his I don't watch boxing either, but his name's out there in the media all the time. But he had another one of these fights about 5 years ago. It was $100, and I said something like, I did a screenshot of Nolan that had, I think it was Ventura in the headlock, and he's like just punching him like this. And I just put didn't cost a Benji because I'd rather just watch that than like an actual boxing match. Baseball fights are the best fights because basketball, here's a basketball fight. Like, oh no, a fight's going to happen. And they're just like, they just start walking towards each other. Like, oh, you better hold me back, you know, and all these people jump in between them. Football fights, they butt heads, nothing ever happens. But baseball fights, they throw down and teeth are flying out of mouths when they start landing punches and stuff. And I've always said that baseball fights, well, hockey is part of, fighting's part of hockey. But, you know, yeah, Conor McGregor, Small Time Republic, thank you very much. Do you know that name, Matt? Conor McGregor.
I know Conor McGregor. Wait, he's
maybe he's not Irish. Maybe he's
Conor
Scottish.
McGregor's UFC.
But he boxed what's his name?
Well, that
Mayweather.
was a stunt.
Yes.
Just to make money.
I stopped watching UFC probably in 2015, maybe. I was really into it from 2000 up until that point, but all the guys I knew left, and I'm like, I don't know who these new guys are. So
the early Forrest Griffin days and everyone around there.
Stephen Bonner, the greatest fight ever. Yes.
Yeah, that's where I kind of stopped. I used to watch it back when it was only around in Denver, Colorado, because Colorado was the only state that didn't ban it.
Yeah.
And you know, watching the Gracies, Tank Abbott, all the old classics where there was hardly any rules.
Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, well, it was even before then. Ken Shamrock was doing UFC back
Frank
then.
Shamrock, yep.
Yeah, and I mean, they were just one guy he pinned him down, started punching him in the nuts until he gave up. I mean, you could do anything back then.
Yeah.
Tank Abbott would just beat someone down the floor, look at everyone, and start laughing like, I'm having a great time. This guy's a bloody pulp.
What was that one guy's name that he became famous in those like videos and stuff, and then they brought him into UFC, and then he couldn't hack it. Yeah, Kimbo Slice. He couldn't hack it.
Kimbo Slice was a beast back in the day, but he was way too old when they brought him back.
Yeah, he went on, what's it called? What was the name of that show? The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it, and then he went to that other federation, and then that Seth Petroselli like knocked his ass out within a few seconds.
Kimbo Slice was over. It's like Tank Abbott. All these people tried to come back when UFC started making money. And I don't blame UFC for trying to bring him back, but they were just past their prime at that point. It's sad because some of those early fights were just great. You'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Those Gracies were amazing.
Yep. They're from Brazil, right?
I believe so. But I mean, coming in, doing the Gracie jog with your hand on the other buddy's shoulder with your head down.
Yeah.
Bathrobe up. I remember entering rooms like that together with my buddies. We were huge UFC fans back before it was popular. I'm not saying because it got popular, I got out. I just eventually just stopped watching.
What year do you think you stopped watching?
It was mid 2000s probably, or maybe late 2000s. It wasn't much longer. Like I said, Forrest Griffin was young. He was funny, and I watched him. So if he was late 2000s, and that's when I stopped, because he was the last one I remember saying, I like that guy. And he kept fighting. I just stopped. I just didn't have any more interest anymore.
Right. And welcome to Fight Wars, everyone, where we talk about MMA. No, that's not what this stream's about. But
no, it's not. But I still challenge Matt to a hardcore match.
Well, I'll tell him. We've got our Ring of Honor Facebook group chat going on. I'll have to tell him.
Take that.
You know what we need to do sometime? We need to have like the super podcast with those guys and me and you and Wes.
Oh, Wes would love that.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Wes would love that. Wes would love that. Yeah, Wes is he's great. He's great. He's always been, as you saw, he's always been a wrestling fan his whole life, and that's why he came in and he's the one that kind of showed me that Dark Side of the Ring. So I started watching it through him.
And, I'm going to set that up for January, sometime in January after the holidays.
I'll ask.
Have a super stream.
Yeah, he works retail, so he's busy right now. He's in some everything we're doing in December has been pre-recorded, except for like maybe the last two podcasts. I'm going to bring other people in because he is swamped. Right, I'm sure he'll make some time if I ask him, but he's swamped right now.
I can't wait for the dark side of Star Wars. That's going to be a good
dark side of Star. You know what though? Wes talks out of his mouth to, and it's funny because he asked me why we never did his review of episode, 9 or whatever. I said because after you saw 8, you promised. Because he said I'll never watch Star Wars again. I said, are you just saying that? He went, nope, I'm done. I said, well, people say that now, and then they go back and watch episode 9. He said, I won't do it. And then he watched episode 9, and he liked it. And I was like, dude,
liked it. Come on now.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. I'm burying him now in your eyes, but it was funny because he hated 8 so much. They said he was done with Star Wars. I went, don't say that. Are you just saying that because people are going to go back? I am not going to go back and see it. Then he did it. And when I showed him that podcast, he got quiet. He didn't want to do episode 9 anymore.
That's insane. What's going on, Mozza? Thanks for swinging by, pal. Member Mozza in the house. But yeah, Small Time's right. They it's further back, but they subverted our expectations in the beginning of this movie. It's like, oh, we're gonna kill everyone, you know.
It's a good film. They're both good films. There's some comedy in there too. Teak is great. Watching it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Teak.
Watching it with my little girls, I had so much fun. I was laughing at Teak. They were laughing too. You know, they thought he was really funny. He's supposed to be there. He's the light side to Noah's character. You know, Noah's crotchety. He's old. He doesn't, he wants to be alone, but he cares for Teak, and he does have a heart, but Teek's the one that has to bring it out from him, like Chewie and Han.
Yeah, I was about to
Chewie's the
say
one-
Chewie and Han.
Yeah, Chewie's the one with a heart. Han does have a heart, but he's keeping people away, at arm's length because he didn't want to get close to anyone. Noah's the same way too, but Teek breaks him down. And it's great. It's great. It's a great, both of these movies I love and enjoy. And I wish they would have written expanded universe about these characters. I think it would have been fun. Because
that would have been a good idea.
You could have written a story that happened on Endor while they were fixing their ship. Something could have happened between there. They could have had another little adventure because obviously Sindel's been there for a while as their father's preparing the ship and everything. You could have, I don't know. There's just, I mean, you could talk, if you want to talk about, potential in EU stories, we could have a 24-hour discussion on that. But this is just one of those other areas that I thought was unexplored and could have been.
Yeah. What was Noah's partner's name? Like, started with an S.
Salak.
Salak, yeah. I like when they go to the castle and he's like a skeleton in the shackles.
Yeah.
So yeah, another thing, like his friend was gone and stuff. A lot of tragedy in this movie.
And for Wilford Brimley's acting is really good in this. He plays a hermit with a heart of gold very well. Even when he looks at Salak for a little bit, you can tell the sorrow in his face. Now this is a TV movie. You don't really need to take it that seriously, but Wilford Brimley was a professional, and you could tell that he kind of was hurt. That Salak could, he's hoping against hope that he'd be alive, even though he said he must have died years ago. But you could tell there was a little bit of sadness there, and then he realized that, hey, that's the piece I need to start my spaceship. So I mean, the characterization in this is done really well. What's the witch's name again?
Cheryl.
She is just thirsty for power. Whoever has the power, she wants off of this planet too.
How do you think she got there?
She was banned by the Dothamir witches. They somehow got rid of her and abandoned her. She's abandoned on the planet Endor.
Okay.
Because remember, not many reports on Endor, so no one knows what's going on that planet. But they just dump her there. So she's there to fend for herself. She's with Tarak because he holds the power. But and the thing is though, if Kevin Jamerson didn't go into details, but you could have said that Sherelle's been there for years. I mean, when she was a little girl, maybe something happened, and so obviously she didn't understand how to get to the stars too. She's kind of a little primitive on how things work, but she just knows she's hungry for power and she wants out off this planet, and she's attracted to powerful people.
Right.
She fears Tarak. Tarak's a mean cuss. I just like how it's just different. We have a big Gorax giant in the first one, and then we have these scary. I mean, the makeup's good too for these characters. For these what are they called again? Sarian?
Sannyasins. Yeah.
Sannyasins. Yeah. It's great. So I appreciate both of these films. I think they're, as TV movies, they're well done. Like you said, it's got the old school. It's got some claymation in there, some green screen. It's classic movie magic, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, and it was good, to watch for kids of any age because you get the friendship between Sindel and Wicket just trying to survive.
Yep.
And then, they run into Noah, and I like the scene where he like runs them off, and then they have a campfire, and then suddenly this water just is like,
what are you
doing? Yeah, you come inside and build a fire properly.
Now this is a proper place for a fire. You can only.
And I'm gonna make her oatmeal too. It's good for you, so you don't have heart problems.
Yeah. I like when he comes back with these 2 sleeping bags. Oh no, these are for you, Teek. Good that they left. I didn't know which one you want, so I brought them both.
Yeah.
That's just great. He tries to play it off like he doesn't care. I mean, Wilford Brimley is the star of this. He's really good.
Yeah.
He's got a good range of emotions. He gives weight to the whole movie, some gravitas to it. He was a good pick. He's a good
Sup,
pick.
Tommy? Yeah, they need to have like, man, I would love to see like what happened before they crashed and stuff, you know, and after he got out, like he's not that old. Like, did he drop her off somewhere and continue adventuring? And I don't know. What a great character, though.
Supposedly, I think the EU, I think one of the supplemental books, I want to say it's Wizard of the Coast. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Kind of pick up that story.
I'm gonna look into that small time. I'm gonna
but I think that they did tour for a while, and then they went to live on Coruscant.
Okay.
I think they toured for a while. But yeah.
Yeah, that must be more recent, because I remember reading like reference book lore probably from 10 years ago, and I don't think that had been established at that point.
I want to say it's in the Wizard of the Coast, one of their.
I was about to say either Wizards or Insider, because they had a lot of short stories.
Oh, Insider could have been it too.
Or you know, a lot of stuff in Galaxy, and this is a great series of magazines.
Man, that was a great one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Gamer.
Yeah, Gamer. I have a stack of Gamers in my my magazine rack. Hang on, let me look on my.
Sure.
I didn't make any notes because I didn't have time, but I had noticed some interesting stuff when I was reading about this. Where do you think teak came from? Do you think that species is native to Endor?
Yes. According to Kevin J. Anderson's Star Wars Illustrated Universe, the Imperial agent who does a scouting,
I have that book. Yep.
Goes on a scout trip of Endor. He talks about all these animals and all these creatures, and he gives a very shaded opinion of everyone. He thinks Ewoks are dumb and primitive, which is why the Imperials underestimated them. So he talks about how no one in Endor is that big of a threat. So yeah, but that's another one. That's another one to read. Is that Star Wars Illustrated Universe is really good.
I have that book. I had it since it came out. That's new Ralph McQuarrie art, right? It wasn't some of it's repurposed, but I think a lot of it he drew just for that book, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's beautiful artwork. Because they show some scenes of Endor which we've never seen before, like a harbor.
And I saw that. Yep, like a seaside
lake town
village. But for me,
really like wonderful.
The people that made Star Wars for me are George Lucas, Ralph McQuarrie, John Williams, Richard Chew, and the other editor. Because Marcia really didn't edit that much. She kind of dipped out pretty early. But those two guys that took the Lucas cut and made it into something, they made it. And then the actors that really brought life to the characters. You know, the big 7 main characters. Those are the people that made Star Wars, in my opinion. Without any of them, you wouldn't have had what we had.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't all George. It wasn't all Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Development. Let me see if I see anything. I should have taken notes, but I didn't have a lot of time this week. I thought this was funny. So the producer on the second one, this Tom Smith, he had warned the director, like, hey, you know, you're going to have to redo a bunch of stuff because of the way George is. And he had padded the budget because he knew George was going to come in and want to change a bunch of stuff and do reshoots. And Warwick Davis had already flown back to England, and he had to fly back a few weeks later to do reshoots. I thought that was hilarious. Because George he's a perfectionist, you know, at least in his mind of what perfection is, that's what he's going to strive for. And if he doesn't think something meets it, then he doesn't. I thought this was funny. And this is kind of in line with what we've seen in some of the other documentaries, the making of documentaries, where George has all these stamps and stuff. and he's like flipping through artwork, but he had these 3 stamps for designs, and one was great, CBB, which stood for could be better, and then 86. And you know what 86 means, right? You're
Right.
throwing it out. So he'd be
Yeah.
like, I remember this one, they were doing a storyboard. I think it's in the Phantom Menace documentary, and he has like all these different colors, and he's like this and this and this and this, and oh man, I did the wrong color, and he's like trying to wipe it off and stuff, and everyone's laughing. Well, I think he's a misunderstood guy. George is. I think he's funny. He's an everyday guy. Like, he took his kids to school.
Yeah.
He didn't have a driver take him to school, you know.
I think he's very creative. He just needs someone to take that, like Irving Kirchner? Sorry?
Irvin Kershner, the
Irvin
director
Kershner.
of Empire Strikes Back.
And I'm getting the authors and the directors mixed up. The author of the novel and the director of who is the director of Return of the Jedi?
Richard Marquand.
That's right. That those guys' visions, you know, off of George Lucas's original ideas, made magic.
Yes.
And if George could have passed that baton, you know, like the original plan was to have Spielberg and Ron Howard each direct one as well, that'd have been great. I think the prequel trilogy would have been, you know, better.
Yeah. He didn't really need to direct those. I mean, come on.
No, he had the wrong type of friends.
Yep. But I didn't have a problem too much with the prequels. Like, when they came out, were they what I expected to see, that I had expected for almost 15 years? No, not really, but I don't think they were terrible. I've never really heard you talk about the prequels. What did you think of them?
I mean, they're okay. They're okay. Yeah. I enjoyed them like you did. I would never defend them.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot wrong with them, but I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think it's George's poor direction, and that no one said no to George. He surrounded himself by yes men, and so there's a lot of bad decisions. They're not bad. I enjoyed them. Watched them several times in the theater. I'd watch them again. But you know, you have quality there, and you didn't really use it that much. You know, it's just that I don't know. Just could have been done a little bit differently. He needed someone there to tell him no, George.
Yes.
Or someone to kind of take that idea and move it around a little bit.
Well, to tie this back to Princes of the Universe, like, that's kind of how it was when TNA said, "Oh, we're going to hire Vince Russo." You know, look at all this great stuff he's done in WWE during the Attitude Era. And that's when WCW hired him. Well, he didn't have a filter, you know, and I think Vince McMahon was that filter, like, oh man, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, he'd shoot down ideas between, you know,
yes,
him and the rest of them. But and yeah, that's a good analogy there, because he needed someone like that, but he didn't. He got at this point he had free, complete reign, and it was a bad thing. Now turned to a bad thing. His story came out jumbled, no good. You know, flat in a lot of areas. It didn't move well. It needed to be edited better. There's a lot of things that they, you know, other good directors could have handled and done, and you could add a better series. Not bad, like I said. There's stuff I enjoy from the prequels, but as these two movies go, I would watch these just as much as I would watch any of the Star Wars movies. I just loved them.
Yes.
I watched them a million times as kids, and they just don't get old for me. I'd watch them again. I just love the story. The Ewok's adventure is kind of soft to my heart. It shows Wicked's older brothers, you know, Weechee and Whittle, and who's the oldest? Maybe that was.
I remember Weechee's name. I don't remember the other two.
Weechee, Whittle, Warwick, and doggone it, there's a.
Here, let me look it up here.
Baby one too, but his whole family. But and then of course Truk, the axeman, was always a great character. He
was kind of a hermit himself, right?
He kind of just like living out in the woods. He was a woodsman, brave woodsman. But they all had their own characters. And here's how you do something right. Now I poked fun at the Christmas special, the holiday special. A bunch of Wookiees roaring at each other in the living room. not that
Right.
interesting. But here you
No.
have Ewoks speaking Ewokese. However, you kind of got the gist of what's going on. Sure, there's a narrator here and there that pops in, but you really don't need it because you can figure out what's going on with them speaking gibberish the whole time. That's how it can be done right. And by the way, I don't think George had, I mean, he did have some influence. They used his creativity and they gave it to people who could handle it and develop it into a great storyline. And when you have that matchup, things go well. Things go really well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Did you ever
go ahead?
Did you ever read the graphic novel Shadow of Endor?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
I need to get my hands on that. Do they kind of reference some of the stuff in this?
It's more of the cartoon that they kind of make a little bit more adult and grown up. I remember when that came out. That's that little, it looks like a paperback, but it's a comic book, and it's a lot of fun. I remember when it came out at the comic book shop, I was like, "Whoa, no way, Ewoks!" Got it immediately, loved it.
Nice.
Because it does have a lot of the characters from the Ewok cartoon in it, and it's fun. It's a fun read.
Wickett's brothers, Willie, and of course Weechie,
Really?
but then there was Winda was his sister.
Winda was his sister. Okay.
Not Linda, Winda.
Winda. Winda. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got the Ewoks DVD, but I have the Droids one. Because they released the Ewoks one when they released the Droids one about 15 years ago, didn't they? With about 4 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, they have that DVD only shows a handful of episodes. You can get a Blu-ray bootleg online for pretty decent price that has all of them.
Nice.
As nice as you can. I mean, they're just going off of pre-recordings. But yes. I've watched the Ewoks went 2 seasons, Droids went 1. The Ewoks cartoon is fun. I have not rewatched them in some time. It's been a long time since I've rewatched them.
Teresa's in the house.
Sure. Hey, Teresa. Can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
But the Ewok cartoon is fine. I don't think it's fantastic. But it's fine for what it was at the time. And I loved it back in the day. I love the Ewoks cartoon. I watched it, and it was made for kids, really dumbed down for kids, but still a lot of fun. What
was I going to ask? Oh yeah, wasn't there a huge difference between the first and second season of the Ewok show? Didn't it have like a completely different tone and direction and stuff like that? Like, I think it was a different creative team.
For season 1 and season 2?
Yeah.
They switched some of the they changed some of the characters a little bit, not too much, just the design look of them, and they gave it a new theme song. They were trying to spice it up. I think at that point Star Wars was kind of exiting the public's eye, and so even the Ewoks weren't catching on, so they were trying to do something special too. I talked to an animator for Ewoks a long time ago. He sent me a cell from the Ewoks cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah, from that they used to use, one of the little cartoon cells. And I loved it. I treasured it. The funny thing was, at that time, it was probably 2004, 2005. I was watching them burned on DVD, and his name, I was setting up people with DirecTV back then, and he was getting DirecTV. And I paused for a minute and I said, "I'm sorry, this is kind of out of left field, but did you ever work on the Ewoks cartoon back in the 80s?" And he paused and went, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" I said, "Well, your name is in the credits." He went, "Really?" He said, "How did you know that?" I said, "Well, I've been watching." He went, "Those still come on TV? Where?" And I was like, "I burned DVDs of them." But yeah, I said, "Well, look, man," I said, I watch it and I see the credits and I've seen your name pop up." He went, "I didn't even know my name was in the credits." He went, "That's incredible that you would know that." And so we started talking, and He said, well, he said, well, hey, what's your address? I'll send you one of the cartoon sales. Like, because he was telling, he still has some stuff from that. And I was like, I would love one of those. And so I gave him my address, and sure enough, he mailed it to me. And I have it with me. It's a half-drawn image of Tebow, if I recall, from the cartoon.
Maybe we can get him on sometime. That would be amazing.
I lost contact with him.
Oh, did you? Back
in 2004, 2005.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was ages ago. Sadly, I lost contact with him but he was just really nice. He was just amazed that I could remember his name, but he didn't realize I was watching those back to back at the time. And to be honest, I wouldn't know his name today.
Wow.
Maybe if I saw in the credits, maybe I'd remember, but I didn't save the envelope.
Right.
I just have the cartoon sale, which I just saw when I was moving. It's somewhere in one of these boxes, but yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I love it. So that to me is a piece of history for me. I love it because that was one of my favorite cartoons back in
I remember the sales for that show and droids being sold like in ads in Insider and comic books and stuff like that.
Yeah, they cut up a lot of things back in the day, didn't they? Didn't they cut up the wasn't Empire Jedi? Wasn't something like that done? Did they give that
maybe? Yeah, I think you're right.
From some of the movie reels, not the original, but not
the original. Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of I don't know. I seem to remember that. But yeah, the Ewoks came into my life when Return of the Jedi came in. Seeing them on screen, that was for me. Just like Jar Jar was made for kids back in 1999, he wasn't made for me. I think Jar Jar is a moron. But there are kids who grew. Oh, well, I say kids. There are people who are like 10, 20 years younger than me who love Jar Jar. They grew up watching him. I don't blame you. I get it. You're a big fan of Jar Jar Binks. That's cool. Go for it, because I love the Ewoks. Anyone who's 10 years older than me usually hates Ewoks.
Remember when, like, on the back of action figures before the movie had come out, they like shadowed out Logray and Chief Chirpa so that you couldn't see them because they wanted to preserve the surprise for the film?
That's funny. I don't remember that, but I can see them doing that. I remember they'd shadow out.
Well, keep talking. I'm gonna go get a card back out of my drawer in the.
No, go right.
For whatever reason, I have them in our big great room inside of a chest. So keep talking.
Yeah, no, go right ahead. Look it up. So anyway, folks, I'll tell you this that I love about Ewoks. I made my own Ewok village as a kid. It was in my backyard, and my mom, we were too poor. We couldn't afford to buy the play set. So we fixed it up in our yard with bricks and rocks and sticks and pine straw and it was probably looked like crap, but to us, it was the most amazing Ewok village in the world. We played, and we would always ask our mom to buy, if we could buy an action figure, we'd buy more Ewoks. And then she finally put her foot down and said, no more Ewoks. Because we just kept buying it because we wanted to have multiples at the same time. Some of them we had with their hoods on. Some we took off their hoods so they look a little bit different. But we wanted to have a lot of Ewoks to populate it because you couldn't have anyone else live in the Ewok village but Ewoks. So to us, that was a big deal. We really, I still remember playing. We stuck a big tree limb in the ground, and it stuck out. So it looked like a big giant tree, like they had the Tree of Life in the cartoon. So I bet it was the junkiest, dumpiest looking Ewok village in the world. But to us, it was like a masterpiece. I remember it like being perfect.
And it took forever for them to release any other Ewoks. It was Logray and Chief Chirpa forever. And then suddenly they started coming out with Wicket and Tebow.
Yeah.
And gosh, who else? I'm
I'm
trying to think of the names of them.
I think got one.
Or yeah, those were the first two. Logray and Chief Chirpa. They were the first two. Yeah. And then they did Wicket. They did trying to think of the names of these guys. Tebow, Warrock. They did Warrock.
Oh wow.
As one of the final 17. But here we have, let me put myself on a full screen here. I don't know if I can do that whenever we're sharing. Let me just stop sharing here. Here I have the Zuckuss, who's really 4-LOM, right? We know they made that mistake that West End Games finally corrected, like in 1989, I think it was. and then you see a price tag there for Best. I don't know if you guys remember Best. It was a store, Best Products. But if we look on the back, let me flip it around. You see they're shaded out there because they didn't want to spoil the first appearance of the Ewoks. Look at that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And that is my card from when I was a kid. So it's from way back in probably early 1983, I'd say, when they started releasing
That's awesome.
The Return of the Jedi figures. What's going on, Drew? Hope you're doing well, pal. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's really cool that you built that. I remember when I got Biker Scouts, I got like 2 of them, and then I got the speeder bike, and I had the Ewoks, and my cousin had some Ewoks, and we're out playing like in the dirt, and it literally looked like Endor and stuff. Man, that was like the funnest stuff to play with because you could recreate movie scenes, or you could come up with your own story, and those were the greatest toys.
Oh yeah,
that were ever created. Those in G.I. Joe. So you used to shop at that store. That's awesome. Did you have a Best, Matt, where you grew up?
No, I didn't. I did not have those. I remember you talking about those. My store where I got a lot of my toys was TG&Y. And it sounds like it was similar to a Best. It's almost like, well, they don't have Fred stores anymore. It's almost like a Dollar General, a Family Dollar, but a little bit bigger, I think. I don't know if anyone has Big Lots, but it was like a Big Lots. If you have that store.
I've been to a Big Lots, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was like a Big Lots, TG&Y was. But we'd always go down the toy aisle, and that's where we got a lot of our figures. Or there was a drugstore, and I don't remember the name of the drugstore, but the drugstore also had some Star Wars figures too that we'd pick up stuff from. But TG&Y was my jam back then. And like you had Best, we had that. We also went to Fred's a lot, but we didn't get Star Wars things there. We got the old muscle men.
Well, I have
wrestlers.
That's awesome. I have other card backs, like a whole stack of them. My oldest one is a Walrus Man from like probably 78. That's my oldest card back, but they had I have price tags from Best, from Sears, from Montgomery Ward, from JCPenney, because all these Mervins, you probably never heard of Mervins. All these stores were selling Star Wars toys at that point. But Best was interesting because you walk in, right? And it was in the same parking lot as JCPenney in California. You walk in, you pull it off the rack, you scan it, they ring you up. But if you're buying a big item, you would look at a model on the floor, and then you would ring up, you would get a ticket, and you paid for it, and then you would go to this belt, and it would come out at like you're at the airport. It would come out on a belt, and then you would take it because there's a warehouse downstairs.
And they just put it on the conveyor belt and just move it?
Yes, because they didn't want to take up a bunch of display space. It was like a really revolutionary model in the 60s and 70s, and then they went out of business, I think, in the early 90s. But what's interesting, in high school, I had two buddies that worked there in the warehouse. The store got held up, the entire store. They put a gun to a girl's head and said, everyone face flat on the ground. And the guys down in the warehouse didn't know this was going on. They're blasting like Dr. Dre, because this is like in 92, 93, and they're just jamming out, unloading the truck. And upstairs, this guy has a gun to this girl's head, and he's like, everyone empty the cash register, give me your wallets, all that type of stuff. And that was at the Best in Stockton, California. So look up that story sometime. But yeah, I have a whole stack of these. And on Twitter, every day I rotate my relic of the day. And in the rotation are my vintage Star Wars figures. And I always include the card with those figures. So yeah, these are some of my oldest possessions that I have. Like, it's amazing to think that Walrus Man one I've had since I was not even 3 years old. I still have it in my possession. And that's one of the reasons Star Wars is so close to me, that it's from that era when, my parents were still alive and all that type of stuff. And it makes me remember them, like all the stuff that they did for me. Yeah, Alora, I'm not shocked that you remember Mervin's. I think they changed their name to Mervin's California before they finally went out of business. Even though they weren't just in California, they were all the way to the Midwest. So, $2 from Drew, the Supreme Heretic. Just want to send you my love and support. Yeah, and guys, I've been plugging the hell out of this on streams and on social media, but tomorrow night on this channel, on my channel, we're going to have a political stream where 100% of super chats and Streamlabs donations will go to Drew's GoFundMe because he's our friend and he's a great guy and he needs some help. Let's just put it that way. He needs some help, and that's what we're going to do, just like we did for Lady Toriel. I want you guys to show up in full force. I'm going to have Greg, Ryan Kinnell's going to swing by. I was going to ask John Talks. I did ask John Talks, but he is ill right now, and he won't be able to stream. But we're going to get some other people on. I think Teresa might swing by, and some other people. We're going to talk some politics and just have some fun, throw back a couple of drinks, and raise some money for Drew. So everyone show up and spread the word. Thanks. Thank you very much for the $2, Drew. Appreciate it, pal. But yeah, the Ewok movies. Have we covered everything?
I think we've covered everything on them, but are they worth seeing? Absolutely.
Yes, go watch them, guys. Find a way to watch them. If you don't know how, reach out and I'll find a way to help you watch them. You know, the very end of this movie, or I don't have it shared anymore, but the very end of the second movie, when they fly off, it's like, okay, you know, you feel sad in a way because you're like, what's going to happen now? You know, like where are they going to go? And what happens next? Like she lost her family, but she's so happy that she just survived death and if not death, then being stranded on this planet where there's no one else, you know, like, wow, I'm never going to get married and all that type of stuff, you know, unless she married Wicket, which would have been weird. But
yeah,
it was, you know, she got away. So you feel happy, but then you kind of feel sad because it's like, man, I want to know the rest of the story. What happens to her? Well, guess what? We find out in the Black Fleet crisis, like you said, you know, hey, she becomes a journalist, a reporter that Admiral Drayson chooses to leak the information to. So she had a source, guys. She didn't have a gold helmet, but she had a source.
Yeah. And then she went off to make coffee and dated Rhino.
Yes, there you go.
For a short time.
Allegedly. And you know what else is interesting? You can see the planet Endor in these movies, and you can't see them in You can't see it in Return of the Jedi. Remember seeing the planet Endor in the sky?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Melissa Lord says, I still have my Rancor Keeper and my Han Solo in a Stormtrooper uniform I ordered with UPC codes from Raisin Bran, still in the sealed bag from '94. Yeah,
I have the same one, and I have Ghost of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that was the serial one as well. Yeah.
Yep, I have both of those, Melissa. That's awesome that you have those.
Yeah, one of the last figures I need to complete my vintage collection is Luke in a Stormtrooper outfit, and that thing is expensive. Like loose without the gun, you're looking at best $150, but probably more likely $175 to $200.
I know a buddy of mine who has two sets. He has one all loose and one all in the package.
Oh yeah, there's people. I'm in groups on Facebook where these people have a room you walk into that's bigger than some people's house, and it's like both sides of the hallway are lined with these glass cases with lighting and all this shit and nice wood flooring. Every single in the box mint. I'm like, this must be $5 million or at least $2 million. Literally, because like I said, the guy tomorrow, he can sell that Y-Wing for $400 loose, complete
easily
with the box. In the box, you're looking at $2,000, $3,000. And these people have every single thing. Every figure, every vehicle, all that stuff. It's amazing to think of that. So if you're on Facebook, go out there and find these groups because people have all these pictures of their amazing collections. And it just makes you wonder, like, how did they get these? Did they have them since childhood, or did they go out there and find them on their own? Like,
Right.
did they
Right.
strike it
Exactly.
rich and stuff like that? So, anyway,
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been fun. Again,
yeah.
thanks for having me. I love talking. You texted me a while back about doing one about this. It's like, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Love
knew you
talking
had to
about
move and
Ewok.
all that stuff, so I'm like, just let me know when you're settled in, and we'll set this up. So,
Yeah.
but next Friday, Matt's going to be back with Teresa, and we're going to do the Babylon 5 season 5 stream, and that should be interesting because there was definitely, in my opinion, a dip in quality of the storytelling and stuff like that, and we're going to talk about that. So I can't wait to get the normie, the newbie, Teresa's thought on that.
I've had so much fun on those. I can't. I've been waiting for season 5 for a long time.
I'm going to have to watch a couple of episodes between now and next week. I won't be able to watch the whole season, but just to get like some refreshers and stuff, get my fix for Byron. You got to get your Byron fix.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man, one of the worst characters like ever created. But we'll talk about that next week.
Talk about that
so
next
guys, yes, guys, definitely show up next Friday for that. But again, tomorrow night, probably around, I don't know, 9:00. I think I set it for 10, but we might start a little bit early. We're going to do the political stream for Drew here. And then nothing Sunday night. Monday night, Indecent Behavior's back. I don't think we're going to have a guest. I think it's just going to be me, Greg, and Deadwood Dale talking about stuff. And then, let me think, Casual Rage Thursday. And then Fall of Night will be back on the 11th. It will have been 6 weeks since we did Fall of Night with me, Rhino, Greg, and Alora. So we'll be back to have some fun and all that type of stuff. I don't think I'm going to burn anything this time, but did you see me burn the chair, Matt?
I did. Remember, I came in late and you said, "Did you see me burn the chair?" I was like, "No." You said, "Go back and look and see." So I went back on the stream.
That thing burned and burned and burned and burned. That leather must have, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't leather. Maybe it was some kind of like faux leather that was really flammable.
Except we had a candle wax that just kept the thing burning.
Yes, it just burned forever. Because I had my phone still going, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Because I have like cameras around my house, but
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So great stream, Matt. Do you have anything coming up?
No. Well, yeah, I need to start filming it. I'm going to do my monthly update next week. We're going to hopefully have this Ryan character who keeps stalking Tim's channel next week for a more civilized age. I need to plan that out. I've been so busy. It's just been kind of crazy, but I'm going to try to plan that out with them. Doing my live Q&A, my monthly live Q&A next week, which should be fun. And then for board games, going over my top 100 board games coming up soon. And then I'm doing something called Reread. May do something special around Christmas with that. But and of course, Yub Nub's holiday special. I'm actually going to go out and start filming things tomorrow for it.
That's awesome.
So that should be a lot of fun. So there's a few things coming up in the month of December that's going to be a lot of fun. Also check out the Expanded Universe .com.net. And on the Expanded Universe, earlier this week, Tim's article,
I'm pulling it up now.
Ron came out. But I am also going through the holiday special EU style, baby. I'm going to talk about characters from the EU or just characters from the movies. It's not that many characters made it into the EU books, but those that did, I'm going to definitely talk about. I'm doing that all month long. It should be fun. We have some other contributors going on and trying to get things lined up. I haven't done any posts for January, but I'm actually going to be getting that maybe this weekend, start slowly building stuff up. So yeah,
I'll write something. I'll figure something out. No more casting for a while.
You know, Teresa was telling me that she had all these ideas, so go for it. And then I've heard crickets from her for a whole month, a little dirty liar. I'm kidding.
Well, she asked me for ideas, and I'm like, write about like religions in the Star Wars universe.
There's a billion. I gave her a billion ideas. I
Mm-hmm.
gave her a billion ideas of what she could write about. So, and I'd love it. I'd love it. So we're always looking for new contributors there. It's a fun little fun little place to do that. But we've been posting pretty regularly and everything. It's been
Absolutely,
so
you
much
have.
fun.
Yes.
So and like I said, I pre-posted a lot of the articles I'm writing up there now just because I knew it was going to be a busy month for me, because now I've got to sell a home, which thankfully I'm on my way there now. So trying to get that tied up and get everything wrapped up and done so I can focus more on the channel. But the channel is going to be, a lot of it's going to be on autopilot because a lot of it I filmed already, because I knew next month was going to be busy just because of me moving houses, selling a house too. This month is the main goal. So it's been super busy, but I'm trying to stay ahead of it as I can. But yeah, it's been a lot. I'm glad I get to do things like this. So thanks to being patient with me.
Yeah, hold that thought, because I was actually going to say something about that. Let me hit this $2 from Melissa. Great stream. Love y'all, Tim and Matt. And we've got a heart, looks like an angel, a kiss with the heart eyes, 3 hearts around the smiling face, arrow through a heart. I can't tell what those other 2 hearts are. So thank you very much, Melissa. Thanks for always being here. But I was about to say, like, and I think I've said this on a stream before, but think about like 20 years ago. Because I have been in the online Star Wars community since like 1998. Think about, like, did you ever think even back then that you'd have this platform where you could create content and talk with others about all this awesome stuff? Like stuff that you know about and the other people know about. I just think it's phenomenal that we're able to get on here and talk about this stuff. And we had 21 people watching tonight, and then we're going to get a bunch of replays guaranteed. Yeah. It's just amazing that your useless knowledge, you're able to make it useful by not just monetizing it, but providing entertainment for people and information for people and enjoyment for people. I think it's phenomenal that we have this ability and this platform to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've always said that. It's wild, because growing up reading Bantam and everything, it was just me and a few other friends.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to many people about it. Yet I knew these were bestsellers. I was like, well, who's reading them? Because I can't find anyone who's reading them. And then, YouTube just kind of opened up for me and opened up tons of other people. Rill is someone I really enjoyed talking to. You and I talked to her.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk to her again. But see that
I wished her a happy Thanksgiving, but I haven't heard back. So she's probably busy. She got promoted at her job, FYI.
Oh, good for her. Good for her then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, OGA. I'm finally moved. Sold the house within a day. That's a great story I'll have to tell sometime. But yeah. So it's but it's just, for me, it's just been, everything's been kind of busy right now. So I've been kind of completely out of it. Like, I just realized talking to you right now, I haven't checked the email for the expandeduniverse.com in probably a month or so. Or no, it's been 2 or 3 weeks. So I've been kind of out of the loop. So I've got to do some text messages, see if I'm caught up, because I kind of fell behind on. I just dropped. Nothing has been on my mind but getting moved in, unpacked, getting the house ready to sell, selling the house. And that's where I'm at right now, is getting the paperwork and, getting things done and completed. But it's an exciting time for us, but it's been super busy. But I again, this has just been a lot of fun. I always enjoy talking to you. I always watch your streams. Not if I can catch them live, excellent. If not, it's most likely on replay for me. I've told you this several times.
That's don't worry about it, buddy.
I can tell you about them all, but I've just had so much. I mean, you have so many variety of topics. I absolutely love it. Like from wrestling to, like I said, the Babylon 5. I love doing that. I love doing that stuff. But you and Greg are awesome together. I love Greg. The more I see him, he's a really great guy. And I was happy to be on a stream with him. I watched Casual Rage with you, him, and Rhino, and that's so much fun. It was so fun last night.
It was hilarious, is what it was.
The only thing that's not fun is Steve.
Oh, there he is. He's not moving. He's being sent to an asylum. That's why the doors are short in there. They're trying to drive you crazy with those miniature doors.
I took the wrong mushroom from Alice in
It's that
Wonderland.
scene. It's that scene from Willy
Folks,
Wonka. Remember?
This is like, it's weird. It is a mini little door, you know, but it's a door to a crawl space. But it's a very nice looking door, and there's a second one over there. I'll be giving the whole tour during Yub-Nub's Halloween Yub-Nub's Christmas special. We'll
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, we've got Star Wars going on here, like this expanded university stream. We've got the Alternative Factory. Like just the other day, I randomly went live. I think it was last Friday when my son was out partying. I'm like, I'm just going to go live. And I talked about Predator, and I talked about A History of Britain, a documentary series. We have got, and like Blake says, I just like naming shows more than anything. We talk about, you know, the culture issues and how they're ruining our favorite franchises. We talk about Star Trek and Off the Treks. We just talk about all kinds of stuff because we want to diversify our portfolio and provide different forms of discussions and entertainment that may be up someone's alley and not someone else's. But hey, just attend the ones you want to attend, and I'm totally good. Like, I don't expect everyone to show up to everything, but I like talking about this stuff, or I wouldn't be talking about it. And I've always been into different kinds of stuff, and that's why I do it. So, but thanks for your support, Matt, and thanks for being here. Everyone sub to the link that Alora provided. I'm sure everyone already is, but if not, make sure you're still sub. I can tell you on Monday nights, or Tuesday nights, actually, my drive home from work is The Princes of the Universe, because it usually comes out in the morning, and I'm too busy when I'm at the office because I've got people up my ass all day, like, hey. But on my drive home, I just play it on my phone, and it's on Bluetooth, and it takes me about 30 minutes to get home with all the traffic, and I'm listening to you guys. So yeah, what a great, I want it to be 2 hours long. It's like, oh man, it's already over. I want more. So we're going to try and set something up. Put a bug in Wes's ear that we're going to have a super wrestling stream with all of us.
Wes will be more than happy to join on that. Yeah.
Sweet.
I'll let him know.
Awesome. But yeah, guys, tomorrow night, just the link's out there. It's on my channel. Set a reminder, and we'll see you. And you're welcome to show up to that too if you want to talk some politics. I know you probably don't get a lot of opportunity to do that, and you probably don't want to do it on your own channel for obvious reasons. So you can come over here and do it. But we're going to play the Lucasfilm Supercut on the way out, if you don't mind again, Matt. And
yeah, go ahead.
Guys, thanks to everyone for being here. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the support. You're awesome. And we'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to take us out, and I can't play this as a clip because it's too long. I'm going to have to share my screen. So later.
Under the leadership of Kathy Kennedy, now going into the future of Lucasfilm, we have many of the top men and women in their field.
Like, it's the only really word we have more of the female-centric stories.
And we're right on the verge of releasing The Last Jedi.
Right, The Last Jedi.
That is something we're incredibly excited about. And I think fans are getting excited. I'm a little worried about film. I'm a little worried about film. All of these things are merging these platforms in a way that I just think it's not disruptive. It's exciting. What we can do with series and limited series and short-form television. I don't think it's sustainable, what's going on right now. A lot of what's being made isn't very good. I think that's just a byproduct of quantity over quality. The audience will determine that, which is great and democratic. There's always going to be people, when you make something that's somewhat controversial, that are just flat out not going to like what you're doing. And we didn't make the movie for them, which is great and democratic. We didn't make the movie for them.
The Old Republic's interesting because it's our one line of legend storytelling that we're continuing going forward, because it's an existing product that's out in the marketplace that is built on being a continuing story. We weren't about to tell all the Old Republic subscribers that, sorry, your game is over. That's not how it worked. They're invested paid subscribers to a system that already works.
Some of the material said the next canon part of it. Okay. Having worked with George, I can tell you that it was always very clear, and he made it very clear, that the films and the TV shows are the only thing that he considered canon.
We have a large group of ideas and characters and books and all kinds of things. We could go on making Star Wars for the next 100 years.
We don't have source material. We don't have 800-page books that we're adapting. We don't even really have comic books that give us a great deal. This is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be.
And obviously we have hundreds of books and comics.
We don't have source material.
We have hundreds of books and comics.
Okay.
And we help them find the story that they want to tell, but also make sure that story fits within the framework of Star Wars.
Okay.
Fits within the framework of Star Wars. Fits.
With the Star Wars saga, we've tried to create more female characters who represent so many things, because what we're trying to do isn't just create one type of character. We're trying to create a diverse range of characters, especially female characters that are strong, that are independent.
Gina Carano is no longer employed by Lucasfilm. Gina Carano is no longer going to appear on The Mandalorian.
Oh, wow, really? So you mean you shouldn't have judged this until you saw it? That's interesting.
Especially you see it today. Criticism like that sometimes comes before people have even seen something.
Stop giving money to Disney Lucasfilm.
Roll this one around in your head. Shooting a senior officer is an act of treason and mutiny.